Good morning, community. Let's take a few breaths together, shall we? Exhale first, let it out. Yeah. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. Breathing in again. Letting go. Together, one more breath in. And let go. This month we're exploring this theme, that's how we've never done it, which is part of this greater conversation we're having this whole year about the evolutionary process, right? For each one of us to truly become who we're meant to be, to step into our greater possibility, to live the lives we came here to live, there's growth, there's evolution that we get to engage in as we grow, should we choose to, right? And we've all probably heard it said something like, if we always do what we've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, right? Which is basically what this whole month's theme is about, right? It's about looking at where we're at and looking at how we got here and then deciding, would I like it to be different? And if so, what's the pathway there, right? Because we know how we got here, how we've always done it. The only way to get where we want to go is how we've never done it. So we have to learn, we have to open, we have to expect ourselves to be willing to step into new ways of doing and being. Right? And that's this whole conversation we're having this month. And, I don't know about you, but I'm someone who really thinks that I like change a whole lot. Yes. When I'm the one who decides what's going to change. I realize sometimes that I don't always love change when someone else imposes it upon me. It's a very different experience, right? When we say, I want to do this thing, and we joyously move in that direction, change is wonderful. But when change just comes our way or gets pushed in our face or something happens where it wasn't necessarily our choice or what we wanted, but change is moving us, right? That's not always the fun part. Right? And I notice it in the littlest of places, right? How much we love the way we've always done it. For example, my email inbox is a disaster. It is completely chaotic and makes no sense whatsoever to anyone except for me. It takes me a lot of time to find stuff. Now that Jason's our new admin, he's implementing all these organizational things into my life to make things a whole lot easier for me. I am incredibly resistant. Because I just so happen to love it the way that I've always done it. And there's this process of learning how to do the new thing in the new way, right? And when we step away from what we've always done into how we've never done it, there's a point where we step out into the new thing in sort of a state of ignorance, kind of in a state of we might feel incompetent. I don't know how to do this new way. Right? And so oftentimes we step out into those new places in our life where life is giving us a new opportunity and we try the new thing, but we don't feel like we're doing it well. We feel like we're struggling through it. It makes me, when I don't know what's going on, I kind of tell this story to myself that it makes me feel stupid. Well, I don't like that at all. Right? I don't like it when I don't feel like I know what's going on. And so what do oftentimes is we retract. Right? We step back into the old way because it's more comfortable. We know the old way. But it's that growth edge, that uncomfortable place where we step into the things that we don't know, where we have the opportunity to learn to do something in a new way that's actually going to grow us. Right? Once I learn to use all these organizational systems, I might be better at responding to email because I'll see them in the inbox. Right? Because it will be more organized. I'm learning this, thank you. That's just a silly, fun little example where I notice in my own life this place where it's like, okay, how you've always done it is kind of crazy. Let's find a new way. That new way is probably better, but stepping into the new is incredibly uncomfortable. Yes. Right? Because how we've always done it, we know. It's my way, it's worked for me all along, but what if it could work better? What if it could actually move us in a new direction? What if it could actually bring us to where we are seeking to go? Because I don't know about you, again, when I'm really comfortable, I tend not to look for change. Giggle. It's oftentimes when things really start to not work that it gets our attention enough that we go, oh man, well, something's got to change. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. Right? And I remember working with a practitioner years ago where a big blow-up had happened in my life. And we were having this discussion about, did it all just blow up all at once? Or did you notice maybe that there was a voice, there were messages, there were little nudges along the way that maybe you didn't listen to? Right? And it was like, for some reason at that point in my life, I just really needed the spiritual baseball bat to like whack me to get my attention. And the practitioner said, Elisha, I think it's great that you're willing to listen to that loud voice of the universe, but what would it look like to learn to listen to the whisper? When you get that first nudge that maybe this thing isn't working, that maybe this way of doing things isn't supporting me, that maybe this is bringing me down the wrong path, and we hear the whisper, we hear those little nudges, we get those little gut feelings or that intuition, and what do we often do? We go, weh, and we carry on, right? And then as we move through life, as we move through our circumstances, the things get a little louder, they get a little more uncomfortable, it keeps rising up. Do we listen then? Maybe, maybe not, right? But somewhere in the process, life gets our attention. What would it look like for each one of us to actually be willing to listen to that voice when it's a whisper? Right? Because right now, I look at the world that we are all living in, and I look at the state of our planet, I look at the state of our politics, I look at our nation, I look at the wars and genocides that are happening around the world, and it appears to me that life is screaming to get our attention. Amen. That something has got to change. That we, each one of us in our own little way, and all of us in a big way, have to figure out what are the ways that we've always done it that really no longer serve, that we have got to let go of and step away from, and then what are the ways that we've never done it that we are willing to step into, that we are willing to explore, that are calling us forward. Right? We've all heard Michael Beckwith say, you've heard me repeat this 1,000 times, the pain pushes until the vision pulls. If the pain is pushing, if the pain is rising up, if the conditions are getting so loud and so uncomfortable, spirit, life, God, your higher self, whatever it is, evolution perhaps, is seeking to push us towards the next. And it's going to keep pushing us until we allow ourselves to be pulled. Until we allow ourselves to catch a vision, to catch a possibility, to look for a pathway into the new that could actually bring us into a whole new place. And I am, in my own life, I am so incredibly ready to stop listening to the pain voice and start listening to the voice of vision. Who do we actually want to be? Where do we want to go? What kind of life do you want to live? What do you want to experience? Begin to move towards that rather than running away from the pain, running away from what we don't want. Let's begin to cultivate a bigger idea of who we could be and invite ourselves to live into that. Right? This idea that we've been exploring all month about the process of evolution. Right? We said a couple weeks ago, evolution in the historical record of life on Earth has always moved from comfort to discomfort to crisis to a leap forward that sort of then balances out for a while, right? And then it gets a little crazy and moves on and evolves. Crisis oftentimes is the doorway to evolution. What if in each one of our individual lives, whatever those big crises moments are, whatever those pain points are, whatever those moments that show up that are so difficult, whatever it is you might be going through, what if that is a doorway to your greater good? And if we are willing to look at it that way, if we're willing to walk through it, if we're willing to ask the question, there might be more on the other side. Right? Ernest Holmes says something in the Science of Mind textbook to the effect of, When we look at things through dark glasses, like if you're going into a room and you're wearing dark glasses, right? We see things as illusions. We can't tell what we're looking at. He says, but to look at all things as if they are acts and manifestations of the divine is to see them as they truly are. In another place, he says, what if every single thing you experience you looked at as if God itself had handed it directly to you? What if every single thing that came your way was handed to you directly to you, made for you by the universe as an invitation into your greater good? We can either accept whatever has come as a problem, as something wrong, as something that's broken, as something that's not supposed to be happening, and we can resist it, and we can push against it. But whatever we resist, whatever we push against, whenever we give that energy to, it just pushes right back. But when we see that whatever's being handed to us might be a gift from the universe, it might be the doorway to our greater good, it might be the catalyst to cause you to do that thing that you need to do to shift or change or create a new pattern in your life so that something new can be created. What would it look like if we actually walked through the world realizing that we are part of a greater consciousness, part of a greater life, part of a greater evolutionary process? And if we're willing to look for it everywhere, guess what? It will look back at you. What you seek, you will find. What you look for, you will see. What you give your attention to will become more available to you. And so it's all in the story we tell ourselves around what is going on in our lives. Because if everything is a gift, then everything is an invitation. Right? And it doesn't mean we have to accept the bad thing or the painful thing or say that it's good, but what we're doing is when we see the thing, when the issue, when the thing comes our direction, we then get to ask, if this is here for me, what information is hidden in this? What directions are hidden here for me? What is the great shift or change that I am being pushed towards that if I could really, truly accept, it would open up into a greater vision that would then call me forward? Right? And we can look at the world. We can look at each one of our individual health. We can look at what's happening in our greater communities. I don't care where you look. Look somewhere. There's something. Right? Pick a direction. Look somewhere. There's a pain point. Right? And whatever is yours is going to be very visible to you. And it's going to be different for each one of us. Because each one of us came here to do or to be something specific. I believe we are all sent here with some kind of purpose. Some sort of something that we came here to be, some essence we came here to give, something we came to bring into the world. And I think that oftentimes when we continuously don't listen to that voice that's seeking to guide us, many of us end up feeling lost in the world. Not feeling like we have a purpose, not feeling like we know what we're here for. So we have to start listening ever deeper to that still small voice, to those little nudges, to the little ways that the universe is seeking to communicate with each one of us, because it always is. Life itself is in harmony with itself. Nature takes care of itself. It's when we are out of alignment with the truth that all the things seem to get wonky and not work anymore. Right? And so we want to bring it all back into alignment, and that takes practice. That takes actually sitting in meditation. That takes actually being in prayer. That takes actually doing spiritual study. It means sitting with spiritual counselors and practitioners and prayer partners so that we are consistently and constantly changing our mind and tuning our attention into the direction that we want to be looking so that we start to see what it is that we are looking for. Because the nature of nature is to thrive. And many of us are plugging through, grateful that we are in survival, that we can just make it through. And when we look to the nature of nature, when we look to the nature of life, all the systems are there to support each other. When everything is working in harmony, there's more than enough for everyone. Right? The entire ecosystem, all the different pieces and all the different beings support each other. And so there's an invitation again for us to step into this play with life as if we are part of a cosmic ecosystem, as if we are part of a conscious collective of beings who are here in mutual support for each other's evolution. If we want to come to this place and remind ourselves week after week after week that it's all one, that there's one consciousness, that there's one field of energy, that there's one power for good in the universe, well, then we need to be in relationship with looking for it, with being the place where it happens, where being the perception that's walking through the world looking for that oneness. This is not a come to church on Sunday and hear some good songs and some good words and go out and your life's going to be different. It's continuously coming back and getting the reminder that when you walk out these doors, who are you and how do you be in the world? What is it that's looking through your eyes? What is it that's responding or reacting through your words? Is it the voice of oneness? Is it the voice of vision? Or is it the voice of fear and separation? Where do we find ourselves in the moments in between? We come here to get filled up, to get inspired, to get reminded of these truths. The practice then is then when we walk it out in the world. Right? Because if each one of us starts to look at ourselves and look at how we've always done it and start to make some changes and try new things, live into new possibilities, live into new vision, then we be the place where little change happens. And as each one of us makes little changes in our own lives, in the way that we be, in the way that we interact, in the way that we think and choose, we create an atmosphere of change. And as I do it, and you do it, and then it spreads. Right? I keep hearing this little voice in my head that says, what could I possibly do to change the world? Asked 8 billion people. Right? If I'm just one person trying to make some change, it might feel like I'm just a grain of sand on the beach. But if I'm one of a great collective of consciousness that is in the process of evolution, and we are all choosing to do our part, it becomes infectious, it spreads, it becomes part of the atmosphere, and then we become waves of change. Right? That's how movements get created. It starts with one person, and then it spreads among us, and then what we are, who we are, what we are doing becomes a culture. It becomes a way that then becomes part of the atmosphere around us as we continue to share it. Right? So take a breath. Before we pray, I want to do one more thing. If you remember, and so this is part of our theme this month is That's How We've Never Done It. So we're going to shift some things up occasionally because that's part of how we have to never have done it before. You heard that. So a couple weeks ago, if you were here, I shared a story called The Rabbi's Gift. Were you here that week? Anyone who was here that week just remember? So if you weren't here, very, very short summary. There's a story that leads us to this conclusion that within the community, okay, back up. There's a short story I told a couple weeks ago about a monastery that had kind of lost its essence. And the leader of that monastery has a relationship with a local rabbi. The abbot and the rabbi are having a conversation, and the rabbi tells the abbot that one of the monks in the monastery is the Messiah. And so he brings that back to his community. And these murmurs and rumors start to build around the community. Well, who could it be? And they start to look at the different qualities, the different ways that each person shows up, the different examples that they lead, the way that different members of the community shine the light. And they start looking, one of us might be the Messiah. And they start looking around the community, trying to figure out who it might be. And in the process of the community basically looking for God in each other, the community begins to thrive and new life energy starts to come, because what happened? A shift in perspective came. They started to look for the light. They started to look for those divine qualities and started to peer through each other and say, somebody here might be it. And in the process, even coming back to the self and going, uh-oh, it might be me. But really, that idea of the Messiah might be among us is this invitation for us to look at those in our own community who show up in ways that remind us what it means to be the one who spreads the light, to be the one who is the light of the world. So I'm going to start doing something every once in a while, because at the end of that talk I said, it might be one of you. And I've been looking. And I think one of us might be the Messiah. But I don't know who, but I got a list of possible suspects. So I'm going to start pointing some of these people out to you, and we can just start honoring each other in this way. And so has anyone ever read the book Illusions by Richard Bach? So in that book, it's the journey of a reluctant Messiah, and it's a character who shines the light and works miracles and shows up in powerful ways. And in his pocket, he carries around the Messiah's Handbook, which is a book full of little quotes for the reminders for the advanced soul. And it's one of those just open it up and get a little bit of truth. Having climbed certain peaks, you'll descend no more, but spread your wings and fly beyond. Right? So it's just got all these little quotes that are great. I bought a little stack of these. And as I find possible messiahs amongst our community, I'm going to give you your handbook. So I want to start with someone who I really believe is the example of service. Someone who shows up here week after week after week, who is constantly here for the nourishment of this community. And Ellen, if you would come up here for just a moment. So, Ellen, you really truly are the greatest example of service that I have ever seen. You are here Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. Anytime we do an event and we need to have food, you are here. You organize all of this. You support so many of us. And truly, I really believe that you are here for the nourishment of this community. And not just in the things we eat, but the way that you take care of our souls. And, you may not know this, but this woman's a foster mom as well. I mean, you are the epitome of service in every possible way. So I have your Messiah's Handbook for you. And when you need a little inspiration, there's some messages in there for you. I love you.
I need to tell you a very quick story, too. I've been learning.
Hold on, I'm give you a microphone.
There's a place I go to Gray Bears every week to get a lot of our food. And I've learned that there are maybe 30, 40 people there all the time. Is this working? Am I? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And there are two women who really annoy me. One woman I call the crabby woman. And so it occurred to me that if I learned her name, I might feel different about her. So I went up to her and I said, I've seen you here for years, and I've never learned your name. And could you tell me your name? And she said, it's Anne. Well, now when I see Anne, she's not the crabby woman. She's this lovely woman named Anne who says, hi, Ellen.
Thanks, Ellen. So we're going to be watching, looking for possible messiahs in the community, and we'll be calling you out occasionally and giving you your handbook so that you can carry on. So with that, take a deep breath in. Let it go. Oh yeah, do that again. Breathe in. Let go. And so as we breathe together, my friends, I want to remind us that we are being breathed by something greater than we are. What I know is that there is one life, there is one infinite being, there is one seamless presence that is living and breathing in, through, and as everyone and everything. That this presence that I call God, that some of us might call the universe or energy or just our higher self, that there is this one life that is unfolding in every circumstance, in everything that is happening in our lives. What if we looked to life as if everything was delivered to us by this one mind? That this one heart that loves us so much, that is us in every way, is guiding us through every moment in our lives. So let us remember here and now that each one of us are the unique individualized emanations of this one love, of this one light, of this one infinite mind, and that we are here to be the activity of it. We are here to be the place where that love reveals itself in the world. That we are here to be the place where that vision walks itself into the world. That each one of us are here as the hands and feet of the heart of the universe. Let us be the place where life awakens to new possibilities. Let us look at how we've always done it and recognize that there are things that have served us and there are things we need to let go of. And in the process, we are guided, we are pulled, we are being moved towards a greater possibility of who we could be. As we turn to the new, as we look to how we've never done it, as we look to the new ways of doing and being, each one of us rises into the truth of who we are meant to be. Because in this year of grand rising, we are participating in conscious evolution. We are looking at the ways that we are being called to shift and change and rise into new levels of being. And so as we do that individually, as we do it collectively, we create an atmosphere of change in our community and in our world. Let each one of us be the individualized catalysts for evolution everywhere we go. And as we look through the eyes of this one, as we allow this one to beat our hearts and breathe our bodies, let us remember that there is a power that is greater than we are that is moving through us. Let us surrender a little bit of our comfort so that we can be moved to become who we are meant to be. And so breathe in and let go. As we let it be, I say, and so it is. Thank you, friends.